back to Just Between Us. Ooh, it's just between us.
I'm Gabe, and I've been just heartbroken all the time.
So I just sprung this topic on Gabe literally 1 second ago, which is, does heartbreak change you forever?
Just light, super light. Yeah, well, I think it does, but I think you can't let it poison your future relationships.
Explain.
I definitely had issues where I didn't trust people, or because after I dated someone who had 11 other girlfriends, you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. So I didn't trust people, and then I still am unlearning some of my impulsive behavior, which dovetails with, obviously, like, I have bipolar disorders, I have mental illness, but sometimes it's like you have mental illness, but then you're proven right. Sometimes the person is doing something bad.
Oh, like you can't trust your own judgment.
Yeah.
Of like when you're allowed to actually be angry?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
If you've been manipulated or gaslit in a relationship, then you're like, I don't know, did that even happen? Am I even allowed to be upset about that? Maybe me being upset about that is, maybe they're doing something terrible, and me being upset about it, I'm actually the abuser. Do you know what I mean? And then you read stuff and you're like, I'm sure you got a degree in psychology. You read it and you go, no, that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's like, I think both of us have worked so hard on like how to emotionally regulate and how to like not get so disturbed. But then like there is this thing where like sometimes it's like, okay, like how long am I allowed to be mad?
Right.
And like, do I even want to be mad? Do I just let it go? Like, and like, it's always like silly things, but it's like, I think like accepting that like people are going to annoy you.
Yeah.
And like that's okay. And it doesn't like mean that like you're not zen enough. Like you can like be annoyed, and then like I think for me it's always the recovery time. Right. It's like reducing my recovery time. So like I can be annoyed and then like 10 minutes later I'm fine again.
Yeah.
Whereas like before it'd be like I'd be annoyed for a really long time.
We've talked about this, but in terms of heartbreak, we've talked about how like we've been more heartbroken over relationships that were shorter or that didn't really like even get off the ground versus like longer relationships that you think that you would be heartbroken about.
Well, because sometimes I've had some relationships where like you're doing a lot of the grieving in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And so then by the time the relationship's over, you sort of like feel free.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is great. I don't have to deal with this person
Yeah,
anymore.
Absolutely.
I think like heartbreak can change you in good ways or bad ways.
Definitely.
And then it's like you have to decide if you want to accept the change.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you notice like a change in yourself, like after my ex-fiance left me, like I could tell that I was less trusting, and that was a change. And then I was like, I don't want this change.
Yes.
And so then I had to like actively work against it to like get myself back to baseline.
Absolutely. That's how I feel about my last relationship, that it caused a lot of habits in me to be defensive or to be nervous, walk on eggshells, scared. And now like with the person I'm with now, the other day, I was saying before that we don't really fight. We have like little discussions, but there was like an issue where he parked somewhere I didn't want him to park. And then I went quiet because I'm so used to the other person then blowing up. But he was just like, that wasn't even like a big thing. And I was like, why did I get so fucking scared over like nothing?
Well, it's like you remember
your body remembers,
yeah.
And so that's a change that I don't want. I don't want to be a person who then goes to being on eggshells.
Yeah.
I want to, and he said that too, that like in past relationships he didn't feel like he could say what was bothering him because the other person would not have a good reaction. And so what we talk about a lot of times in our relationship is repetition and like using it as a muscle. So the more that we give each other space, like the more that we give each other space, the more that like when the other person brings something up, the other person has a positive reaction, the more we can strengthen the muscle of being able to do that and leave behind sort of the devastation in our pasts.
And I also think like there's something about like that heartbreak is such a human experience.
Yeah.
That like I don't think everyone needs to go through it, and I don't think everyone needs to go through it as many times as we each have.
Truly.
But there is something about loving someone, losing them, and then getting yourself off the floor that like is kind of like weirdly empowering.
You feel like I can take the hits and like I can get back up.
Yeah, like I can get back up, or like sometimes like the hit can be so intense that it's like I don't ever want to put myself out there again.
Yeah.
But like when you can get to a place where it's like, wow, that was so brutal, but here I go again.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like it's something to be proud of in a way, that like despite everything we've each gone through, like we never shut ourselves off.
I still feel like about this past relationship, I feel all the time like devastated. And I have, this is like, I don't know, like I have like a lot of sort of defeatist ideation where I'm just like, this is not even worth it. Who cares? Like it's never going to get better. Like I still have like, I mean, it's been like 8 months or something since we broke up, maybe more. And I'm like constantly like, this is never going to get better. I still have days where I'm like, this is never going to get better.
But you have days where you don't think that.
I know, yeah. I don't think that. But some still, I'm like, what? Get fucking better. Stop it. You know? Stop. I think people who have never been in a relationship or have never had their heart broken, then they become so scared of getting their heart broken that it kind of becomes a cycle. And then they don't put themselves out there.
That can be true. I think also sometimes like they don't understand the people around them. Where you like, why are you so upset? Like, why is this such a big deal?
Yeah.
But then like when it then happens to them, they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Have you had any good changes from heartbreak?
Yeah, I think I know more of what I want in a relationship. I think I know more of what I will put up with. I think I know more about not moving so fast. I think I know more about like how repeated, because you can be heartbroken in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So I know more about how like repeatedly being sad or repeatedly being feeling like a lump in your chest because the person did something to you or because of the way they speak to you or whatever. Like you shouldn't be so upset all the time in a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're going through like, I don't know, I felt heartbroken a lot. Like in the relationship. And like sometimes even with other exes, I look back and I'm like, you were heartbroken in that relationship so many times. And I was willing to give people so many chances. And I thought that was a positive thing about myself. That's what's really changed. Is that I felt like my ability to give people chances and my ability to have patience when people were not at their best. Wow, that's such a great thing about me, Gabe Dunn. Like that's an amazing ability that I have. No, it's not. It's horrible, in fact. Like people should have 1 or 2 chances and then they should be gone. You know what's funny is also feeling heartbroken over someone you never really even dated.
Well, no, but you're losing the fantasy.
Yeah, you're losing the fantasy, or like you're heartbroken over, I don't know, some people just really have the ability to like get at your emotions, even if it's just for like a week or something.
But what a brutal week.
Right? Do you feel that way about yourself?
The positives?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just like what I was saying, that like I can handle things, that I can survive things, but I'm good. I don't need any more.
Yeah, I think,
Oh, talk about heartbreak.
Why? Because she doesn't love you enough?
She loves John more.
Wow.
Every day I have to live with that.
Oh my God. And you have to see her?
I know, I have to see them together.
Oh gosh. That's heartbreaking.
Tell me about it.